Tonight, the trial of an Orrington man accused of shooting another man nearly 4 years ago in downtown Bangor began today.
That's right. Jordan Bishop is charged with attempted murder and multiple assault charges. He was 32 when the incident happened outside of Tesoro Italian restaurant on the corner of Harlow and Franklin Streets in May of 2019. Today, the jury watched video from a camera outside of Tesoro and from inside the bar. And one of the men who was there testified he knew Bishop and said Bishop was intoxicated and became combative. He said he tried to calm him down, but Bishop got agitated again when another man came outside. Several others in the bar came out and tried to hold him down by taking Bishop to the ground.
His attorney questioned the detective on the case about Bishop's head hitting the ground and when they took him down. The bartender there also testified that after the altercation, Bishop left and soon after drove back and heard gunshots. Testimony continues tomorrow morning.